to call our meeting to order. Today is June 7th, 2018. This is a special business meeting of the North Kingstown School Committee. If I could ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I don't have Amy, but Mrs. King, could you call the roll? I don't know if you have it handy, or...
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Stevens?
Here.
Ms. Hoskins?
Here.
Mr. Blasbaugh?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. McGovern?
Here.
Thank you. I'll spare you, you don't have the calendar handy, do you? No. Okay. Our next school committee meeting, though, is Tuesday, June 12th. And we'll read the full calendar there.
Graduation is Monday.
Graduation is Monday night
Correct.
for the seniors. Everyone going? Just out of curiosity? No?
Yes.
Yes? You guys going?
Yes.
I will be there. Then any presentations or recognitions this evening?
There are not this evening.
Okay. Citizens' comments. If anyone would like to get up to the microphone and speak, you are welcome to do so.
Don't run me down.
Okay. No
We have
takers.
no one signed up for citizens' comment.
Okay. Next we have our consent agenda. Do any members need to exempt anything? Anyone miss any of the meetings that, May 22nd, because everyone was here? Okay. Any exemptions?
Oh, sorry, I was not here at the last meeting.
Okay, so we'll exempt items A1 and A2.
And C1.
Okay, and C1 at the request of Ms. McGovern. Any other exemptions? Hearing no other exemptions, could I have a motion to approve the non-exempted consent agenda items?
So moved. Second.
A motion, Ms. Hoskins, second, Mr. Jones.
No, sure.
Oh, you
No,
both
either way,
said it was a tie.
Depends on whose quota.
He was closer to me.
Oh, God.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So first exempted items are items A1 and 2 for the executive session and business minutes of May 22nd, 2018. I assume it's just to abstain, so if I could have a motion to approve items A1 and 2.
So moved.
A motion
Second.
and a second. So motion, Ms. Hoskins, second, Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And
Abstain.
abstention. That passes. Next exempted item is item C2. Ms. McGovern, you had exempted that item?
C1.
Oh, sorry, C1, sorry.
So I was just concerned about the funding source for these because it seems like it would be creating a structural deficit that, you know, if we were just sticking to the budget, that would be fine, but using money that's projected to be excess this year, we can't necessarily count on next year, and this is a salary adjustment, so going forward, we're gonna have to find that from someplace else, so I would much rather see this be in line with the budget.
I understand that, and this was a small overage to budget, which I know every overage to budget adds up. And the thinking of this is in line with the adjustments that were made for administrators as a start. But I can certainly work with Dr. Ajay if you would approve this on something that, you know, we can be
Appropriate
comfortable
offsets.
that will be, at least as much as we know now, that will be cut going forward. Most of this was budgeted. There's very little that's above the 2% that was budgeted. And most of these people are my staff, and I do feel very strongly that over the last several years, along with some others, this group has really fallen out of the market kind of range. Mr. Jones and Dr. Ajay and I worked on this, and their ranges, especially for the long term that they've been here, are not outrageous. And many of these adjustments for just about all of these people will put them in what we are currently proposing as a salary cap. Okay, so that would mean that most of these people are going to, the small adjustments put them to the top of their market range. So I don't know if Mr. Jones wants to expound on that at all, but, so I agree with you, Mrs. McGovern, but it's not, at this point, something that ends up becoming exponential, except for this adjustment that was out of budget.
Well, I say we could make a motion to approve the adjustments and direct the superintendent to come back Tuesday or on the 26th with a different offset item from the FY19 budget.
We could do that.
Would that,
It won't be Tuesday, it'll be the 26th. Yeah.
would that make sense?
Otherwise it'd have to be by today.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
yeah. We're kind
And
of
it's,
done,
you know, it's not a substantial,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that would-
unbudgeted amount.
So something that I'm assured that you'll feel comfortable that, at least for what we know now, can be relatively non-structural. Okay.
Does that alleviate your concern?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we could have a motion to approve,
I'll make a motion to approve item C1 and direct the superintendent to come back with a offsetting adjustment to the FY19 budget by June 26th.
a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the approval or formulation of the North Kingstown High School Athletics Complex Subcommittee. What can we say about that? Dr. J?
Yes, so this committee would be an advisory, would be an official subcommittee of the school committee, and it would have an advisory capacity for being and for the school committee on matters of the messaging that goes out about the track and field or athletic complex portion of the bond going forward, and or to also advise the committee on matters of, looking at approval and installation and making sure that everything is prepared for a summer of 2019 installation and that goes smoothly. And so a lot of it is about messaging, making sure that the community gets a consistent message, making sure we get good advice on that.
And so this vote would create the subcommittee and you'd bring names to us for
Yes,
approval as to the people
I would do
on
that
it.
in
Yeah.
our next meeting.
We actually, I think we plan to bring the charge to the next meeting, and the names, either the next meeting or the meeting after that.
Should we
I
set the number of people now or
Probably not.
wait till then? Okay,
Yeah.
we can wait till then.
Well, I think our policy says superintendent recommends based on the charge, so we need to approve
Right,
the
the
charge.
charge. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this is a preliminary,
What is the proposed makeup of the committee? Is it parents, is it teachers, coaches?
Well, certainly we'll have our AD involved. We wanted to have Mr. Mollis, and we were gonna discuss with him if he had any recommendations. I mean, clearly, we have a couple of suggestions of his staff, but that's up to him. We have me, Dr. Ogier.
we can't close that door, can we?
Yeah, because it's not locked.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not locked.
Yeah.
We can,
It's not.
I'd be thinking in terms of a representative from the boosters, someone like Chris Bedoyan, who's been involved in the process right from the beginning. I'd also like to include, he is now not the AD anymore, but Howie Haig, who has also been involved. He's a teacher at the high school. So, folks like that who have an interest and a lot of knowledge of what other communities have done to make these projects work. So,
The only other thing that I do want to say is that in order to be ready to go, if we are lucky enough to have the bond approved in November, I'm gonna have to come back to you with the next piece of money that needs to be spent to get that RFP ready. So we've done in phases with Par Corporation, and it was a couple of years ago when they gave us that bid, so I think they deserve the right to take a look at the next phases to get us to putting the RFP on the street. So you're gonna have to decide if that's money you're gonna spend if you don't get the bond. I don't think it's money ill-spent, but it won't be an immediate use right after that. But in order to be ready to go, we are gonna have to commit those funds ahead of time. And I would think I would ask you to do that in August, after we've had at least one committee meeting. So that's just a kind of a, I want to be fully above board and transparent about that.
So part of the charge too, I think, is going to be, probably bring in somebody from the planning and development too, is to get perspectives from lessons learned from other communities. So, as Mrs. Kim was saying, is so if we're putting a little seed money forward, we have an understanding from those communities of what they've learned, what makes sense, because we have such an ambitious timeline if the bond gets approved. So it's a little bit of filling in gaps, since we won't really meet during the summer till August to have these recommendations to go, you know, these things make sense, these things make sense, so that it'll guide any pre-development.
We did this, don't do that.
Right, yes.
And of course,
It is
Park,
always good to learn from someone else's.
Yes.
Right. And of course, Park Corporation will be part of the committee, and probably the same gentleman that you saw when they presented. There were three of them. There's the landscaping person and the other people that have been involved in other projects. So it's probably looking, Bob, like what, 8 to 10 people,
Yeah.
maybe even up to 12. Kind of a big committee, but I think maybe with some people maybe some people can be in and out at certain times that we need them. That's why I think it's important that we have Mr. Mollis comment on who he would like to be, part of the committee, and if they're full members or they're on an as-needed basis.
Yeah, and they can probably break off in subcommittees for
Yeah.
certain tasks
Yep.
and parts of it.
Probably, so that it's not so unwieldy, because that's kind of a big committee.
Any further discussion? So we need a motion to approve item D1.
So moved. Second.
Motion is Hoskins, second Ms. McGovern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Anything on the 2017-18 school budget?
Nope.
2018-19 school budgets?
Nope.
CIP existing bond or future bond?
I just have a question. I mean, I know this is I've seen some, at the General Assembly schedule, some of the committee towns and cities starting to get theirs, so do we have feedback from?
I did ask Mr. Mollis
Mr.
about that, he
Mollis?
said they are in the queue. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I saw the same emails that you did, and I was kinda looking for NK.
Yeah.
So
I figure
I
East
did.
Providence is sucking up all the money,
Right,
so
right, I did talk to him.
better get ours in.
So I'll keep you up to date on that.
Thank you. And then, no new business. We have a disposal report. Any questions on that? If not, we've reached the end of the regular agenda. So I would ask for a motion to recess the open session and convene an executive session for the purpose of discussing, we do not need student hearings, correct? I would like to congratulate the high school seniors on getting through their senior week without having to come before us.
Keep that in mind.
So we do not need a student hearing, but we will be discussing employee job performance. The individuals have been notified, including their right to have any discussion held in open session for collective bargaining pursuant to RIGL 42465A2 and legal advice litigation pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A2.
So moved.
Give the motion to Ms. McGovern, second to Ms. Hoskins. All those in favor? Aye. Then we are in executive session. So that's the point when you folks have to leave, because this is the part that we
Normally that
discuss in
happens
private.
first.
We usually do that first, but I told you this is a special and different meeting.